Good evening. Recording has begun.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call our meeting to order. Director Phipps, would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Trollinger,
Present.
Councilmember Jenkins,
Present.
Mayor James,
Present.
Councilwoman Bryant Ward, you have a quorum.
Mayor James?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Councilwoman Bryant Ward, would you please preside over the meeting today since I am virtual?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
My microphone is real low.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God.
Okay, I thought I heard something. Okay. So may I have you had an opportunity to review the agenda?
Yes.
Yeah.
Have a motion to adopt the agenda.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved and properly second to approve the meeting agenda. Any questions or concerns?
No.
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The agenda has been approved. Have we all had an opportunity to review the meeting minutes from October 24th, 2023?
Yes.
Correct. Yes.
Do I have a motion to adopt the meeting minutes from October 24th, 2023?
I would make a motion to approve the October 24th, 2023 minutes as presented.
Second,
Yes, I'll second.
it's been moved and properly seconded to approve the meeting minutes from October 24th, 2023. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The meeting minutes from October 24th have been approved as presented. This brings us to public comment. Is there anyone who would like to have anything, public comment? If so, state your name and if you're a resident of the incorporated town or business owner, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Hearing no comments, this moves us to matters of council discussion.
All right. Well, thank you. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. We had an agenda request from Councilman Jenkins that is to request well, you know what, Councilman Jenkins, I'm going to let you tell what you are asking, and then we will have a conversation about that. Are you okay with that?
Thank you. Yes, I am.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Councilman Jenkins from Ward 4. Thank you for the opportunity to submit an agenda request specifically. As we all know, Pine Grove, which is being developed by D.R. Horton, has and will have a significant impact on our community, on our infrastructure, on our economy, and even our character. As I understand it, so they're making a serious investment in our community. Last I heard it, there's a build out of estimated between 10 to 13, 14 years, 3,100 units and some industrial commercial property. So this obviously will have a significant impact on the town's infrastructure, not only to construct it, but also to pay for the maintenance costs once we accept those into the town system. So I would suggest or request that perhaps it would be an opportune time to have so we could meet the representatives from D.R. Horton and to provide an overview of their plans, of what they've accomplished to date, and any future plans or any scheduling they have for as they move forward on the project. And I would note two items that's related to this. As you may know, St. Charles is a large community in the county, which would start a development back in the 70s, as I remember, under the famous Docket 90. And as part of that docket and that agreement, the developers, who is now, I believe, Lennar Homes, they have to provide an annual report to the county commissioners about what they've accomplished to date. They have a running total of all their dwelling units because they have to meet certain density and housing type requirements, as does Pine Grove. And so they do this on an annual basis. And I would suggest, or at least have a view, that perhaps that's something we could also request as well. And then I would also note at our Parks and Recreation Commission meeting on November the 8th, the commission members had a discussion with respect to the proposed open space and parks package that's within Pine Grove. And there was an issue with respect to finding out more details about those specific facilities in terms of what's going to be in them, parking, maintenance, and other issues. And I believe the chairperson is going to be drafting a letter on behalf of the Parks and Recreation Commission to either the town manager and/or D.R. Horton, requesting some clarification of what the proposed recreation and plans are for that community. All this is, again, as part of, and so therefore this prompted my desire, this request, perhaps have D.R. Horton come and talk to us about their plans now and in the future. Thank you.
Jenkins' request. Any comments or concerns, questions, Mayor James?
I do, and thank you for that. The one for St. Charles, they're mandated obviously by Docket 90, so they have to do that. The good thing about D.R. Horton and Pine Grove is that everything that they have done is of public record. Their master site development plan, their DRRA, their plats, their traffic impact analysis, which they have to update after every 700 homes that are built. They have to, they give us a formal update. Their construction plans, their utility plans, all of that is public record already. And I have to say, Director Harrington does an absolutely amazing job on her reports. Every time the preliminary plats are coming in or the plans, she is very, very informative about that. And I'm sure that Councilwoman Bryant Ward, sitting on the planning department, the planning commission, has seen her reports too. So I think that by asking a developer to come in to report on what is a public process already is a reach on that, because it costs them money to come in here and charge the developers. I would encourage anybody that has questions with the progress of Pine Grove to reach out directly to the developer or to their attorney, who is always forthcoming with what's going on. So I am not in favor of having them come in front of us to report what we can do our due diligence on and read, because it's all public documents.
Yes. I understand the mayor's comments about it perhaps costing the developers some money by maybe having their attorney show up or having a presentation. But I think Councilman Jenkins' concern here is separating what we know as the town or what we have access to that's readily available versus, and I hate to use the word being transparent because it's kind of used kind of overdone, but just allowing access for the community to have an idea of the bigger picture. I don't think it's a stretch to have developers that want to do business in the town have opportunities to engage with our community, I think it's helpful for them. I think there's a misconception about how the process works. I think Director Harrington does an amazing job, but I mean, let's be honest, we've got residents that have very busy, demanding jobs that don't work here in town, and they have very limited time to go find the information. If we can have an opportunity for them to come on a specific date and hear how the developers are improving our town or what challenges they foresee in the future, I think it's a good opportunity for the community. So I support this agenda item request.
If I may, thank you. I certainly don't disagree that D.R. Horton has provided the plan to the Planning Commission, but I would just, I guess, underscore what Councilman Trondra said, that that's not necessary. By having them talk to us, it's more of a transparent, open, public information sharing versus somebody taking the time to go through the Planning Commission and piece together all the plans together. And I think the point about engaging with the community is important. And I'll give a very personal example of this. My son-in-law, who doesn't work here, he works for a large developer of office and commercial space in Baltimore County, but they have other projects all over the country. And he's in training and eventually will run a project up in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, in that part of the world. And so as part of his training, as part of his team, they go up there and they meet with the Planning Commission, they meet with the elected officials, and they're not asking for anything. They're just saying, here's who we are. We want to be part of your community. We have this current shopping center and we have plans to expand it. So we just want to meet with you and tell you who we are and how we want to be engaged in your community. And that is really something, to me, it would be appropriate as well for this D.R. Horton, who, again, to their credit, is making a significant investment in our community. But the same token, it changes us a lot. So it would be, from my perspective, an opportunity to have an engagement and open communication with them. And from my perspective too, having been in the business many years ago, that engagement is their cost of doing business, because they have many projects in many communities, even here in Maryland and also in Delaware. Thank you.
So my thoughts is that Director Stahl does an amazing job of making us aware of any problem with water, sewer, stormwater management, trash. We get those reports the fourth Tuesdays of the month. Director Harrington, if I feel like, would provide us with updates on if there was a school issue that would come out in her report. So we'd be getting duplicate information. And I understand about having, the developer to come and speak to us, but typically we don't have residents to attend our meetings. So they're going to come and share with us what we've gotten in a report already. And I feel like it would be almost punitive to require it. I mean, if we want to extend the offer and ask if they would like to come, then that's one thing. But we're not asking any other developer to come in and talk to us monthly. And I understand that nobody's building to the capacity that they are, but I would think that it would be an invitation, not a mandate or requirement. And I think we will get the information that's being requested here from our operations directors when they report out. Director Stahl is going to make us know when there's a problem, even if it's before a meeting. If it's a problem, he's going to bring that to our awareness. And so I wouldn't want to make it a mandate. If it's an invitation for them to come and speak to us, I would be open to that. But a requirement, I don't think that's, and especially if they're building to our specifications according to the comp plan and the town code, I don't think that there's a requirement for them to report out periodically. Again, I don't mind if it's an invitation, but I wouldn't want to make it a requirement. Any other thoughts or?
And it wasn't meant as a requirement. It was a suggestion.
I'm just looking at the
Right,
wording. The
right.
wording of the last
Well,
sentence.
okay.
This is an annual
Point.
requirement.
Yeah, in St. Charles.
That was just a comparison.
Right, yeah, I'm making a comparison that we could request something as that too. And again, it's, okay, I said what I needed to say.
Thank you. If I could follow up, Councilwoman Bryant Ward, that was very, very eloquently stated. We do, if we start requesting developers to come in, do we do that for all developers to come in? What D.R. Horton is very aware of their presence in every community, and they do a fantastic job with their open houses, and they have an open door policy. So if anyone is wanting to know what's going on, they can ask. I think sometimes people want it spoon-fed, and as Councilwoman Bryant Ward said, every month we get a report from planning, we get a report from operations that updates us to this. The next one will be when we do have the traffic, they have traffic impacts. We will hear an update once they reach that magic number. I think it's 700, and Director Harrington can correct me if that's wrong, but if they have a desire to come in, absolutely, they should reach out to us, but us to reach out to them when we don't have people that are even, I can't see the audience, but I don't know how many residents are sitting here this evening wanting to know what's going on. So they can always catch it on some of our previous meetings where they laid out their whole process there, but I am not in favor of having any developers come in when we already have that information at our fingertips.
And I just want a last word from me on it, but I just think, I think the request is pretty clear. It's not a monthly requirement or mandate. It's just at each development phase. And, you know, that of course there are different phases. And I certainly would hope that developers that are here would not see it as punitive, as another opportunity to engage with the community of which they're serving and selling units to, and enhancing our town. And I, just for the record, I would be in favor of any developer having that opportunity to engage per development phase. So I don't think we would want to single out or only give D.R. Horton that opportunity. I think we would want every developer to have that opportunity. So that's the last thing I would say about that.
And they do during the planning meetings, when they meet with the planning commission, they lay all of that out for each phase, and so does Director Harrington. So that is an opportunity for the public to engage with them, and I think that's probably a better opportunity there than bringing them to council on another night. But if they so choose, if they reach out to us, absolutely. But I think the proper place is at the planning commission meetings.
Well, just for the record, not every developer is a D.R. Horton with 3,100 units in the town of La Plata. And again, it's just another opportunity for us to have engagement with the community and folks who are investing in La Plata. Nothing more, nothing less.
That's in you.
No, yes, it is.
So maybe
Yeah.
send an invitation and put him on and ask
But-
him to be added to the agenda. I mean, why wouldn't, I mean, if that's something that you feel strongly about.
I do, and I probably will, but then do I need to get permission to bring him here then? So I gotta do so I'll do another request for the general request.
Be
Well,
chair.
that's
But I-
kind of
I
what I'm
brought
getting.
The
Oh, okay.
superintendent of schools in here. I wanted her to come and speak, and she was added to the agenda.
That's a reasonable request, but again, I hope we don't get bogged down again in this process of.
And Councilman Jenkins, I would encourage you to reach out to Steve Scott and have that conversation with him, especially since you have, being a planner, you understand what they're going through. If you have questions, and that might be a good thing to report back at. But I know that I was summoned to a meeting once, and boy, you talk about getting me a little bit hot under the collar. That you can extend the invitation, but I think the first step should be actually to reach out to the attorney or to D.R. Horton directly and ask the questions.
Well, again, that's a great suggestion, but again, it's an opportunity for us, not one individual member, because I don't speak for the council as one person. So I was trying to be inclusive, so we're all together as a team. And I will certainly then follow up. But again, I would urge us to do this, and obviously that's not going to happen.
So question as to the agenda item request. So do we then vote and then move on or what? How? Right. So it won't pass, right? But is that,
It's not going to pass.
Mr. Manuel, as far as like, the proper method from here?
Oh, here we go. Yes, yeah, I think that's why we're here, is to determine whether it's the will of council to bring in the DR Horton to, sort of discuss their project. So if that's the will of council, then it will be requested probably by myself. If it's not, then obviously, then we will not make that request.
Sure.
I'll be the Lone Ranger and make the request.
That's the spirit of this conversation and
Oh, well,
way we are.
Well, unfortunately, that's the way I take it. Okay, that's
So
unfortunate, very
do you
unfortunate.
want a vote or a motion on this?
Yeah, you could just or take a consensus. I mean, either way, we know what the numbers will be.
So, it's being asked that we invite DR Horton annually, periodically to come in and discuss the updates on Pine Grove. I'm in favor of that.
Oh, sure. Yes. So
Yes,
as the agenda item submitted.
yes.
I mean, it doesn't give us a specific annual or, but
No.
periodically.
As an
Yeah.
example.
All in favor of that, by a show of hands.
Okay.
All opposed. We have 3 for, and 1 against. The motion carries. Moving on to item 4.2, Stormwater Management Director Stahl.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have asked Melinda Adams, our stormwater manager, to come with me today to help me explain a lot of how we're moving forward. And I don't want to complicate this because this is actually a very simple issue that's coming before you tonight. And that is to ask for your approval for the design contract with Coastal Resources for the $110,000 to design the upgrade for Caroline Drive Stormwater Management Pond and the Morris Drive Stormwater Management Pond. That's simple. The caveat to that, and part of how we got there, was we originally came to you with a Coastal Resources contract to design 4 stormwater management ponds for us. Those 4 ponds were the Redwood Lake out at Clark's Run, 2 ponds at Agricopia, the front pond and the big farm pond in the back. And the 4th was the big stormwater management basin in Quailwood, right off Quailwood Park. We started the design process and we're moving along, and MDE wanted to meet with us. So we met with MDE. And when we met with MDE, they decided that the pond, if I'm not mistaken, at Agricopia, the farm pond in the back, had been built to the newest standard in the 2008 standard, 2007.
Whatever the most recent regulations are, yes, it was built to the current standards, which we didn't have at the time when they originally kind of pursued this. The engineer that we had hired said, this is what the one we should go with. So we went with that one, digging through the information, talking to MDE, talking to our new engineer, which is Coastal Resources. That pond is built to the current standard, so we can't use it for credit.
So we have to then go back and find the amount of impervious surface acreage with other projects to make up for that pond that we lost. So the original contract was $61,000
For the farm.
for the farm pond. And we have spent some of that because they were working on the design already. And we have about $47,000 left in that contract. So that's left over. The design for the two new ponds is $110,000. So we still have 47 that won't be spent on the original contract, and we're adding the 110. But we wanted to explain that. The challenge that we really wanted to take this opportunity to talk to you about is the fact that this 5-year permit, the MS4 permit that we're under that expires in 2025, we're going to be able to do with 5 projects. But there's a great example here that we wanted to explain about these projects. We eliminated, of course, when we did this first set, we went and grabbed the 4 biggest stormwater structures that we had that had the most impervious surface. So we got the biggest bang for the buck when we did this first set of MS4 projects. When we lost the one, we now had to do 2 projects just to get the equal amount of impervious surface, and that was Caroline Drive and Morris Drive. The reason we bring this up is because we're looking forward to the next MS4.
Because MDE actually came to us. We had a meeting with MDE back in late September, early October, and they specifically said, be looking forward to 2030, because what you're doing now, you're gonna have to do half, basically, is what they estimated is half what we did impervious surface wise for the next round. Looking forward to 2030.
So Melinda and I have been talking, and our estimate is that we will probably have to do at least 10 projects to get the 10%. So in this one, we did 20% of our impervious surface to be upgraded, which was 121 acres approximately.
Roughly, yeah.
So at 121 acres, we've done that with now 5 upgrades. We're assuming that the next go round, they're going to, it looks like they're going to require a 10% addition. So it will only be 10%. But in order to get that additional roughly 60 acres, it's probably going to take us 10 or 12 different stormwater facilities to get that. And that will also include ditch upgrades.
Right, our rough estimate based on what we know about the drainage areas at this point in time, my best estimate is 8 upgrades, almost identical in scope to the upgrades we're doing for these 5. Additionally, to get half of that probably is about 30 acres. Without digging into some of the details with the engineer, our best estimates, we can get about 30 acres by doing basically every road in town that's got a roadside ditch that's not curb and gutter, we can do, excuse me, as long as slopes are right and everything, we can get about 30 acres through retrofitting all of these facilities by just digging out the ponds, maybe putting in some check dams, and getting appropriate credit, which is great, but that means at least 7 projects. And one of those is, at least 9 projects, and one of those is a townwide ditch retrofit program. And so we've 5 projects, and now we're gonna go to 8 plus the ditch retrofit to get half as much credit.
Yeah. The difference is, this is why we bring this up. This go around, we had $2 million in ARPA funding, and we had $211,000 in grant funding. And we have $2.2 million of bound money to do all of these upgrades. And the reason we just want to plant this seed a little bit is that looking forward over the next 6 or 7 years, it's not that far off. we're gonna have to look for a funding mechanism to be able to continue to do these upgrades because we haven't had to do that so far. And we didn't want to suddenly spring this on you and say, oh, by the way, we do have the next stage of MS4 because MDE is already talking to us about that and telling us what we have to do. We wanted to just use this opportunity when we bring this coastal because it was a great example of what's going to happen. You're going to have to do 2 projects to get the same amount that you were going to get out of one. That's really going to hit us the next time around. We're only having to do half as much, but we're going to have to do a whole lot more projects to get that credit. So I just wanted to throw that out there as part of this. But the truthful thing that he came here tonight was to say, we'd like your approval to get to design these 2 projects for us, and we'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have with respect to that.
Thank you, Director Stahl, for making that as simple as possible. Simple, non-complicated request that you have just muddled and made a hot mess out of. So what you're at, so if I'm clear, the cost to add Carolina Drive and Morris Drive is the total is 110. You have 47.7 and you're asking for 62.5 tonight.
That's
Okay, that was my question. Yeah, thank you.
because You said 110, but
additional design. And that money will come out of the ARPA.
ARPA.
right, I'm clear, but what I'm asking, I want to clarify, the total project is going to be 110 now. You already have 47 that you didn't get to use over in Agricopia. And so you just need the additional 62 to get this done. That's what you're
actually approving the contracts without.
Right.
I understand, but I'm just trying to separate the money. It's not 110 that we're doing. It's the additional 62.5. Okay. Council, do you have any questions?
I do. Thank you for that question, because that was one of them. I was confused. Thank you. Just for my own education, why was Agricopia Farms rejected? I mean, it was. Okay. Okay.
Can you please turn on the mic?
Prior to both Director Stahl's and my tenure here with the town. And so we didn't have exact dates, but digging through some as-built and finding information from developers, we found out that the pond was developed within the current era of stormwater management.
Okay. And then I appreciate the warning about more money. And this, I'm going to go out on a limb here. So do you, and I won't hold you to it and you don't have to answer it per se. So I assume there are some estimated costs of what this might cost in the future, these different projects yet, or you don't know that yet? I mean, what order of magnitude are we talking about? I mean, if you're saying 2.2 million.
My estimate would be that each of the projects is going to cost us in the future will cost us roughly the same as what any one project costs us right now. And so we've got 5 projects. We're looking at, having to add 3 more additional projects.
Okay.
Plus the ditch retrofit program.
And so
Our assumption, Councilman Jenkins, to be more specific, is that when we bid these out, that they will be somewhere, in my estimation, each one of the ones that we have now, especially the larger ones, will be in the $500,000 range. So
Okay.
we will be using that up. I don't think that, although construction costs are escalating still at a very large rate, and we're talking probably 5 years from now, it could be in the 400,000, $250,000 to $400,000 range for smaller projects. And so the expenditure, I think, will be equal to, or if not more, in that next 5-year period. So we're just saying that because we're going to need to cover that out of stormwater fees and not out of found money.
And so I'm assuming then that these would be synchronized according to budget years. I mean, you're not going to do them all in one fiscal year, right? I mean,
we certainly hope not, but I think that our scenario would be that we should be looking at cost recovery throughout the period, so that we're not just saying, oh my God, next year we're gonna have this big bill due. We're gonna know that the MS4 is there. And so as we do this, we haven't had to do that so far because, of course, we have ARPA and those kind of things. And that's why I say that. But in the near future, after 20, in the 2025 range, we probably should start looking at the stormwater fee to try to cover some of these expenses that we know we're going to have over that next 5-year period and not try to recover it all in
One
a
time.
1-year time.
Right.
So
Okay.
I throw that out there and just so that
Oh, thank
I mean,
you.
our goal is definitely to progressively work on them, but just for example, the 3 projects we've got now, we've got one of them that's been submitted to the state and is under review. We've got a meeting coming up with them. The other 2 are kind of right on their coattails. And so I expect to have all those 3 kind of finished design by springtime of what we currently have. And then by fall next year, the other 2 will be in finished design. And hopefully by fall, we'll have all of them ready for construction in that 2024 to 2025 timeframe.
because of the ARPA funding,
right.
it is necessary
Mhm.
that all of them will be contracted for. All 5 projects have to be contracted for before before next December.
Right.
So we have 1 year
1 year,
to
right.
complete all of these designs, which is why we're bringing this to you in kind of a rush, because it kind of came to us at the last minute here. But we need to get this moving very quickly because we have to not only have them fully designed, but we have to bid it out and we have to have it contracted before the end of December to meet the ARPA requirements.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor. Any questions?
I do not. Thank you for asking.
Ms. Larson, I have one question. So with that understanding, and if we could have a projected estimate of what it would look like or cost us in 2030 or along the way, is there a way to build that into our budgets from 2024 forward? Okay. Sorry.
During the budget process in our worksheets, we have a 5-year projection on the operating, and we're also, there's a listing of the different capital projects and a 5-year cost estimate for those projects.
Okay, excellent. So we could give an estimate of what those projects would cost us around that time, and she can build it into the 5-year projections.
That's the hope. Yes.
I just one caveat is we don't know specifically quite yet. We had the permit hasn't been issued. It was supposed to be issued by the end of the year for the long term, the 2030 permit. But the MDE has gone back to review to try and figure out what the permit's actually going to look like. And so it may be sometime next year or in the fall before we really know.
So we could.
But they
build
are
for the
projecting
2025
10%.
They are projecting, they told us to prepare and
10%.
project for 10%.
Okay, okay. Any other questions from council? So I'm looking for a consensus to move this forward to legislation for consideration and adoption.
Yes.
Yes.
Madam Mayor.
Yes, please.
So we will see this again in a few minutes. And thank you, Ms. Atkins.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for bringing that forward.
Thank you.
So moving on, Mr. Manuel, item 4.3, amendment to the American Rescue Plan Act consulting agreement.
Yes. Council, Madam Mayor, Council, this request is due to the expiration of the existing agreement. And what the amendment would request, besides would one point be to extend the agreement from currently it expired October 31st, 2023, to extend it to December 31st, 2024, which is the date that we have to have funds obligated under the American Rescue Plan Act, and also increase the total contract value to $92,750. And of course, that money to pay for said consultant, Thomas Michael, is from the ARPA funding as well.
Any questions, Madam Mayor and Council?
So that's basically an increase of $32,000 over the current contract. From 60 to
Yes.
92. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Madam Mayor.
I have nothing.
So we're looking for consensus to move this forward to legislation for consideration and adoption. Councilman Trolinger,
Yes.
Councilman Jenkins.
Yes.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. So we'll see this in just a few moments. This brings us to legislation, item 5 on the agenda. Resolution 23-39, amendment to the American Rescue Plan Act Consultant Agreement. Mr. Manuel.
Yes, Madam Mayor, Town Council, this item is for introduction and consideration of adoption. A resolution concerning amendment to American Rescue Plan Act Consulting Agreement for the purpose of authorizing the town manager to enter into an existing contract agreement for professional services for American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, consulting services related to spending the coronavirus local fiscal recovery funds received under the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 and all matters generally relating thereto.
You heard the stated amendment. Do we have any questions or concerns? Do I have a motion on this amendment?
Yes, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, I make a motion to adopt Resolution 2339, the amendment to American Rescue Plan Act Consultant Agreement.
I have a second.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded to accept the resolution 23-39. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. This brings us to resolution 23-40, Stormwater Management Pond Rehabilitation Design Contract. Mr. Manuel.
Yes, Madam Mayor Pro Tem and Council, this is also for introduction and consideration of adoption this evening. It's a resolution concerning stormwater management pond rehabilitation design contract for the purpose of authorizing the town manager to enter into a contract agreement for professional services related to the rehabilitation of 2 stormwater management ponds at Caroline Drive South and Morris Drive East and all matters generally relating thereto.
Summary of the resolution. Are there any questions or concerns? Do I have a motion to accept resolution 23-40?
I would make a motion to approve Resolution 23-40, Stormwater Management Pond Rehabilitation Design Contract as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we adopt resolution 23-40. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. This brings us to new business commission reports. Councilman Trolinger,
I do not have a report this evening.
Councilman Jenkins.
Yes, I have a Parks and Recreation Commission report. We met virtually on November the 8th. We received updates with respect to the Agricopia Park, which apparently now is part of the town system. We got an update or at least a discussion about, which I mentioned earlier, the Pine Grove Open Space Plan document or plan and what they're proposing. We also got an update from Ms. Phipps with respect to the Wills Park renovation and the amphitheater. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the RFP or RFQ has been posted for a consultant on that project. And then they were looking for any update from the county on the proposed La Plata Farm Park, which you may recall is a new county, one of 3 new county parks. This one is named La Plata Park. It's on the southbound border of Wills Park. I reached out to Mr. Sam Jury, who's the Deputy Director of Parks and Recreation, as to what that status is. He responded, which is appreciated, and he said that at this point, the La Plata Farm Park, it's still a 3rd priority behind the other 2, Waldorf Park and Pope's Creek Waterfront Park. He doesn't anticipate any shift in the near future. And frankly, he said there may be some years before that particular park, La Plata Farm Park, is developed, but he would still like, obviously, for us to keep in contact and coordinate our efforts with him, which we will do that. So that was the report from the, oh, and also we got a update from the Patuxent Court Community Garden, which is underway, and I believe that they're going to start some work maybe either later on this fall or maybe wait till next spring, but that's moving forward. So that's really good news. And then just for FYI for the council members, You may have seen the email that the La Plata Town Center Corporation is now back in good standing. The documents were received, and thanks to Mr. Scott, who's our attorney and on the board, that sent out a message that's been done. So we've scheduled a virtual meeting on Monday, November 20th at 8 o'clock to talk about our next steps. And I provided to them the two previous reports about downtown La Plata, the 2012 assessment report, which was prepared by a Main Street consultant, and the 2016, the urban land report, because these reports have action items and recommendations. From my perspective, that's a good starting point to talk about what steps we can push forward. And then I also provided them information about the the board of directors of the Town Center Corporation provided the latest slide deck from the state on the suggested improvements to Maryland 6th Charles Street. So they have that information as well. Thank you.
Yes, I have no report on the design review board. We did not meet, and we have not met again for Historic Preservation Commission, but I did want to say that yesterday we had an exciting day. We had groundbreaking, literally groundbreaking for our new pocket park that will be on Centennial and St. Mary's. Thanks to Keep La Plata Beautiful, the Wills Group, Blackie Wills was there. Our director Phipps, also Shannon Wang, Director Harrington, Chris Wagnon, and Lynn Wheeler. And I know Michelle was there as well. It's a very exciting time today, unless the weather was bad, which when I left this morning it wasn't. They started with laying the concrete there. So it's a pretty cool little park that's going to be there. And it's great to partner with the Wills Group. They are really community champions for us. And then also on Saturday the 25th, make sure that you mark that for our Shop Small Saturday. There will be, the Business Association is doing I guess there's going to be a concert at Town Hall, but there's also going to be the carriage rides. And I heard that there will be some villains out there that the young ones can find throughout the stores and return them to the police department for a reward. And then lastly, I know that Joanne's celebration of life is going to be this week. I think it's on the 18th, and regrettably I will not be there, but her family remains in my thoughts. And you know, she really did. She was an engaged citizen and really let us know how she felt, which I greatly appreciated. Sometimes, you know, she wasn't. Well, she was always very direct, I should say. So she will be missed. And if people are wanting to go to her celebration of life, I believe it is at New Life on the 18th. And that would conclude my report today.
So for the Planning Commission, I have two members to bring forward. Jill Hudnell as the 5th Planning Commission member, replacing, well, nobody can replace Chairman Gann, but taking Chairman Gann's seat on the Planning Commission. And Colleen Minoski would be our alternate, so that would give us a full Planning Commission. So I would like to have a.
Could I ask what neighborhoods are they from?
Colleen Minoski is from Clark's
That's
Run.
what I thought, yes.
And Jill Hudnell is from Steeplechase.
Okay.
So do I have a motion to approve Jill Hudnell as the 5th Planning Commission member and Colleen Minoski as the alternate?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Now, this brings us to upcoming events, Madam Mayor.
Yes, I just did mine.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So this brings us to the end, and we have a reason to go into closed session. Do I have a motion to go into closed session?
Yes, Madam Mayor Pro Temp. I would like to make a motion for closed session immediately following this meeting in accordance with statutory authority, section 305B 1I, to discuss employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of an appointee, employee, or official over to whom it has jurisdiction, which is the topic, the Ward 1 vacancy.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Roll.
opposed?
We need a roll call, please.
Okay.
Councilmember Trolinger,
Yes.
Councilwoman Bryant Ward,
Yes.
Councilman Jenkins,
Yes.
Mayor James,
Yes.
So this brings our meeting to an end. Thank you all for coming and participating. Meeting is adjourned.